What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for joining us here at Chad's Media for our fourth edition of the Friday Night Lights Wildcat Recap. Ryan, we've said this for the third time now, but this show is a lot more fun to do the morning after a win, and that's what we're doing here tonight.
Yeah, I didn't like last week's near as much against Hallsville, but glad that we got it done against Van Alstyne last night, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Saturday mornings always more fun after a win. For those of you that did join us last night, hopefully, y'all bared with us and everything. We always talk about road games are tough for the teams and for the players. Turns out sometimes they're tough for the media as well. Had some internet issues there in Van Alstyne, but next Friday night, we'll be back at home.
Well, contrary to popular belief, out in the middle of a pasture on top of a metal building is not the best situation for
it was a fun
running a lot of different things through a certain Wi-Fi router.
It was a fun view for us.
It looked good,
and it felt good.
Right. No, but just bear with us. We're glad that you did bear with us last night. We had a lot of fun, and we're ready to be back at home.
We're for sure ready to be back at home. But let's go ahead and talk about last night's game. Huge win for the Sulphur Springs Wildcats, who are now 3-1. Awesome start to the season. Just one more non-district game before we get to the district schedule, and we'll talk about all of that and more. But let's go ahead and let's talk about last night's win. I got to point out, man, your three keys to victory, Hump's three keys to victory, I believe, were set the tone, dominate the line of scrimmage,
check,
finish drives,
check.
All three not only were...
Listen, you do the keys to victory, and the Cats are going to win, period.
It's a proven fact. But no, they really did all three of those things, set the tone very well. They won the toss and deferred immediately. I believe it was a 3-and-out, and get the ball, they go score. They ended up being up, I believe, 21-0. And if it was either in the first quarter or at the very beginning of the second quarter. But I mean, they just got off to an amazing start. The defense, 3-and-out. The offense, scoring drive. I mean, they were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and to my second key, controlling the line of scrimmage, Van Alstyne had negative 20 or 30 yards for like a long period
maybe
of
the entire
game.
First quarter.
Yeah, and they got it rolling. They did much better on offense as the night went on, but they weren't able to finish in the end zone like Silver Springs did, which was my third point. And Silver Springs showed that, and they scored the most points that they've scored all season last night.
They had done that, I believe, by the end of the first half. If not, it was very early into the second half. But no, it really was great. We've talked a lot about how great the defense is, how great the offense is, and we keep saying like, if you had to pick one, which one is it? I don't know. They're both playing great, and they continue to both play great. Yeah,
no question, and that's obviously a good problem to have. I would say that last night was probably ruled by the offense. Anytime you score 45, it's going to be tough for the defense to combat that, but they gave up 15. I mean, man, with the way we're scoring points, I feel like giving up 15 is going to result in a lot of wins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you look at what this team has done all season, again, 3-1, your one loss was to a 5A team who I don't know what they did last night, but they were 3-0, after you got done playing them. And even then, fought very hard in the second half of that game, got very close to it being a one-score game late in that game. I mean, I feel like you couldn't really ask for much more through the first month of this season.
No, I think you've played 7 halves of really good football. I'd say that the first half against Hallsville last week wasn't great, but other than that, I feel like the Wildcats have really played pretty solid.
Absolutely. We have a good bit to get in here tonight. We will get to our player of the game, but very quickly, I mean, I want to talk about this defense again. They set the tone, like you said, early, and this defense has been really, really good this year.
I'm going to give you a name, one that we haven't mentioned on this show, but that last night he really caught my eye. Lennon Vaughn. Dude was all over the place. I mean, tackling the quarterback, tackling the receiver that has a lot of catches. What was the Mahan? We were calling him Mayhem, but his name was Mahan. Dude, Lennon Vaughn is all over the place last night. Number 42, linebacker for the Wildcats. Really caught my eye last night. I was very impressed.
Had an excellent game last night, and want to point out Landon Fields, depending on if it's ruled a pick or a fumble, either way, may have got his team-leading third interception.
My dad actually, we got in the car and I asked him. he thought that it was a fumble. He thinks catch and strip. We weren't sure.
That very well may be.
We'll have to go back and watch it, but just continues to make a huge difference on that defense.
Absolutely.
Ty Bobby, Austin Chaney, lots of DBs making tackles.
The secondary has been incredible this year. The front seven was super dominant last night, and as always,
only one sack, which I think is so funny. Statistically speaking, that D-line hasn't done much sack-wise, but I mean, just watch the games. I mean, they're disrupting all these throws. And last night, I felt like Van Alstyne, whether they didn't feel like they could do it, or they felt like Silver Springs hindered them from doing it. They didn't do a lot of drop back pass, 3-step drop, where there was a lot of time for the defense to get there. But the times that they did, Silver Springs was up in their grill.
Absolutely. Looking at the offensive side of things, Brady Driver ends up with
six accounted for touchdowns. Yeah,
6 total
5
touchdowns.
Passing, 1 receiving. Rushing. Excuse me.
Right, and did an amazing job, kind of getting everybody involved. Again, we will name a player of the game here right after this, honestly. But Matt Mitchell had 2 touchdowns. C.J. Williams had a touchdown.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns as well.
Yep.
Cooper Faircloth had a touchdown. I mean, did a very good job of getting everybody involved.
I think we talked about it, but I still think that Malachi probably got over that 100-yard mark.
Yes, we haven't seen the stats yet, but I agree with you.
I bet he did, because really that second half he really took off. We talked about in the first half that he kind of got off to a slow start. Silver Springs gets ahead, they start running the ball a little more, and he takes off.
Ryan, I think it is time to name our Chad's Media Player of the Game for Week 4 at Van Alstyne. Who you got?
Yeah, we've talked about this kid quite a bit this year. He's kind of a jack of all trades. We talk about his selflessness. Ask him to do whatever, he does it. Last night, we usually talk about how he's first down, Matt, but last night he was touchdown, Matt. 2 touchdowns, Matt Mitchell, player of the game, Week 4.
He literally heard us because he had picked up his second first down of the night already, and you and I made the joke that like every single time he catches a pass or runs it himself, either way, it feels like it's always a first down. And we said he doesn't know how to do anything other than first downs. All he knows is first downs, and then immediately goes and scores twice. Huge game for Matt Mitchell, and like you said, we do talk about him a ton, but he needs to be talked about a ton. I mean,
no question, a 2-touchdown night is. That's great. That's big time.
Absolutely, and again, CJ also with 2. That's 3 in the last 2 weeks.
Two games. Yep.
Yeah, he's on one right now.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah, we're getting closer to looking like we're at full strength on offense. I still think that there's times where we can improve, but it's Week 4 going into Week 5. There needs to be levels of improvement. If we've topped out, I talked about this on last week's show. If we've topped out, we're in trouble because teams are going to get better, just like we're going to get better. And going into the district, we want to be firing on all cylinders. And I think this offense, it's close.
I think it's very, very close. And again, next week is your final non-district game, and it is homecoming. So can't wait for homecoming.
And it's going to be a good one. I think Liberty Alu is having a better season than some people anticipated. I know last year that they were down, but they're always going to be, they're always going to be high scoring. They're always going to be athletic. Liberty Alu, I'm thinking next week it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think, we've kind of seen a little bit of everything from this team this year. I feel like they're prepared to play in whatever kind of game they need to play in.
I agree. I even talked about how I thought that the offense has really primarily ran through running. I talked about that before last night's game. And then they come out and have a passing attack like they did. Obviously, they saw something in Van Alstyne's defense that they could exploit. Who knows what that is against Elliott? I haven't gotten to watch any film yet. That's something that me and Tyler do to kind of prepare, watch some of their guys, all that. And I'm with you. I think that whatever LE is showing, whatever their cup of tea is, I think that Silver Springs can match that really in any way.
Absolutely. I do want to point out, just from a schedule standpoint, and don't get me wrong, you obviously, can schedule your non-district games and everything, but a lot of that is out of your control. One, you don't control how many people are in your district, so you don't know how many district games you're going to have. That's out of your control. But I feel like it really set up in their favor. You have 5 non-district games and then a bye, and then your 5 district games. And for the things that they can control, I feel like you are exactly where you want to be at this point.
No question. I mean, I've talked about it a million times now. You want to win every time you step out on the football field, and these first 5 games are very important. But it is about the UIL playoffs are depending on the last 5 games of the season. And so the first 5 games of the season need to be about how can we get to our very best for the last 5-week run. There's no bye. The bye is at the beginning of district.
Right.
We've got 5 weeks to make it into the playoffs, do our seeding, all that. And I think that I would say that after Liberty Alu, I'm confident that we're going to be feeling pretty good going into that bye week.
I think so as well. I do want to ask you, which I kind of want to make the comment real quick before I ask if it's cool with you. Coming into this season just from an outsider standpoint, not us, but, the experts, the people, the other outlets, they make their predictions every year. Sulphur Springs was not predicted to make the playoffs. They were predicted to finish, I believe, 6th, if you look at it like a Dave Campbell's, let's say. You and I obviously, also do that type of thing. We both had them as a playoff team. But I think if you were to make those predictions now, I bet the other outlets would, I really think, would have them as a playoff team at this point. I think they would update their predictions.
Yeah, there's no reason not to if you've watched the game and this isn't a Wildcat fan talking. This is a football fan talking. Sulphur Springs got a good team, and I think that there's going to be ups and downs in district. I think that we're going to go up against some really great talent.
Yeah.
Paris is going to be good. Anna's going to be good. Kaufman's going to have some guys. So that's going to be great challenges for Sulphur Springs. But I mean, man, how could you not be excited about being 3-1 at this point? Because I promise you, and maybe including me and you, 3-1 we would have taken in a heartbeat.
100%.
Obviously, we would have taken a heartbeat after last year. And so just seeing these guys go out and compete at a high level is fun. I'm happy for these guys. It's been a rough couple years. Some of these kids have never gotten to experience winning on a Friday night. So it's cool to get to watch them do that. And I am sure excited for the next 7 games.
Oh, absolutely. We will.
6 games.
We don't want to take up your entire Saturday morning. We will get out of here.
We will, though.
We will. We might. I did want to ask you, though, going into this final non-district game and then, of course, the bye, what are some things that you're hoping to see? Obviously, like you said, you do want to win every time out, and you would have a ton of momentum, one, you'd be 4-1 with 2 wins in a row. But what are some things outside of simply getting a win that you're hoping to see in this final non-district game next week?
Stay healthy. We want everybody that is going to be on the field on Friday against LE. We want everybody to be on the field for our first district ball game. Other than that, man, just a higher level of everything that we've talked about. Dominating the line of scrimmage, starting fast, finishing drives, limiting controllable mistakes, focusing, all these things. It's not make the easy plays. I'm trying to think of all the special teams.
Right.
All of those just need to be better.
Speaking of, we need to point that out. Special teams
yes.
was amazing.
Last night was great.
The one flaw that we've seen special team wise is a lot of the PATs, that sort of thing.
We were 6 for 6 on PATs and we made a field goal.
And made a field goal.
That's great. I'm telling you that will go. Well, we saw it in the was it the Mount Pleasant game or the Corsicana game? One of those. We missed out on 7 whole points.
That may have been the Jacksonville game. Either way, Jacksonville or Mount Pleasant, one of them.
Yeah. And so, man, I mean, definitely good special teams last night. Jackson Hare, huge return, nearly went all the way.
Almost.
That would have been cool. But just like what I want to see next week is everything we've talked about, but better. And I know that sounds pretty vague, but those aren't hard asks. They're hard to achieve at a high level, but I think this team can do it, and they can continue to get better every week and get better in all these simple tasks, and they will be successful if they can do that.
I agree. I do kind of want to point out, we mentioned that we've seen them do a little bit of everything, but not even talking about last night necessarily, but just through the first month of this season, if you just very quickly, very vaguely were to look at kind of every area of the game, for the most part, and definitely at certain parts. We've seen them excel at every level. The offensive line has looked really good at points. The passing game has looked really good. The running game has looked really good. Stopping the run, stopping the pass, special teams. Like, you have done very well in all of these areas.
There's not a single part that I would say we're bad at.
Right. If you were to what's a glaring hole or flaw,
certainly not a glaring hole at all.
Right.
I'm not just saying that. I mean that. There's really no, oh man, that's going to be a real problem in a month. I don't see anything like that. I think there's things that are better than others, but that's normal. We have nothing that's bad, and so that's, man, just a well-rounded team, and that's gonna lead to a lot of success.
Absolutely. You say this. You've said it you've said it twice on a Saturday morning. I'm gonna say it for the third time, but enjoy your win. Enjoy this weekend.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the win.
Winning's hard. Don't forget that.
Right.
I think that Van Alstyne was a bit of a lesser opponent last night. I don't think they were as talented as Sulphur Springs. I think, but having said that, Sulphur Springs got on a bus. They traveled. They got a win on the road. They weren't able to do that last week.
Right,
so
that's your first road win.
They didn't let one loss turn into two, and they took care of business. Winning is hard. I know at the college level at Sam Houston, we played teams that we were a lot better than. I mean, when we went on our national championship run, there were some games that, hey, it didn't really matter what we did today. We were going to win. But afterwards, we always celebrated because winning is hard. And so you don't ever, 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 ever take a win for granted. And last night, Sulphur Springs should absolutely not take that win for granted.
100%. We have mentioned so many times that this non-district part of your schedule is learning at first, learning how to win. We've seen them do that 3 times. Learning how to play from behind. We've seen them play from behind. Learning how to win on the road now. You've seen that, you've literally kind of checked off, all the things that you were hoping to check off throughout the course of the non-district.
Well, it's okay, next week, let's just talk about learning points throughout the season. You mentioned the ones we've already had. Next week, there's a lot of homecoming festivities. Mm-hmm. You got big pep rally. You got all these, whatever. Don't let outside noise impact what's going on, what matters. And then the week after that, okay, learning how to handle the bye week. It's not an off week. You're off on Friday night.
Right.
But that's 2 whole weeks of preparation for their first district game.
We already said it. Couldn't come at a better time.
That's what I'm saying. So how do you handle that? A mature team, the bye week is a blessing. You get healthy, you get more film, you get more practice. I mean, the little things like that will be the deciding factor on how far this team goes, period. It won't be a talent thing. It's going to be an off the field, what's our mindset? How do we go about ourselves? What are we doing? What are we putting in our bodies? Are we going to sleep? Are we jacking around outside of? All those things matter, especially when you've got a well-rounded, we talked about being well-rounded. Those things, they matter. And so I think that this team is, I don't know. I got high hopes.
I
really
do.
do.
As the kids would say, this team is different. They are. I mean, and we've said that every single time you and I have sat down to do this show, but this new era, Coach Faircloth and his entire staff, this is kind of a new group of guys in a lot of ways, and it's different. It really just is different. We've seen them succeed on all these levels. I mean, a great start. The first month of the season is now out of the way, and you are 3-1.
I really ask for much better than that. Yeah.
You can't. Ryan, anything else we need to get to this morning before we get out of here?
No, thank you for joining us last night. Thank you for bearing with us last night. It was kind of weird circumstances, but we're really glad that you joined us on this Saturday morning. Enjoy college football. Enjoy NFL tomorrow.
We will be doing both of those things.
I'm parked on the couch. Yep. Pizza. Dr.
As soon as
Pepper.
we get out of here, running.
Hopefully my Cowboys can do better than they did last week.
That's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
Thank y'all again, like he said, for bearing with us last night. Hopefully we're able to bring y'all a much smoother. We'll be back at home and everything, so we're looking to a much smoother, Friday night next week. And again, it is homecoming, so please go support your Wildcats in person every time you get the chance, and then tune in with us after the fact. That's the beauty of it being on YouTube. You can catch it whenever. For those of you who can't make it though, we will be live starting at 7 p.m. on Friday night. We'll see y'all then.